When you are on the go, you need your credit union to be right there with you. Hughes Federal Credit Union makes your life easier. For 65 years, Hughes has called Southern Arizona home and has given back to our community. Isn't that who you want as your financial partner?
Welcome to Greg Hansen's Video Notebook, brought to you by Hughes Federal Credit Union. I'm Star Sports Editor Ryan Finley here with Greg Hansen. Greg, our taping time was delayed by a few minutes today because you had one very important task, and that was what?
Hit the send button on the Southwest reservation.
The check-in, that is the sound of March,
Yeah.
is the sound of you at exactly 24 hours before flight time, hitting that button.
And getting in and out of Las Vegas in the air, as anyone in Tucson who goes to the Pac-12 Tournament knows, is the number one priority.
Absolutely.
Those flights are booked in January, maybe even December now. Not fun.
But you know, it is fun. Pac-12 Tournament. And this year we finally have 3 teams capable of really making some big noise in March. As you wrote in our Pac-12 special section out today, shameless plug, Pac-12 special section. I mean, there are 3 teams, the big 3, Arizona, UCLA, and Oregon, who are capable of winning the whole thing.
Sure, and as I think that and go on, I also remember that Seton Hall beat Villanova last year in the Big East tournament early.
Right, right.
So what if Colorado conks out Arizona? Huh?
Now, Greg, tell me if I'm wrong here. The name of the game this week is separation. Right now, there are 3 teams kind of all bound together, right? Arizona and Oregon, co-regular season champions. UCLA has beaten Oregon and Arizona this year. The name of the game is separating yourself from those other 2, whether that means winning the tournament or putting up a good fight in the final.
But on Monday at Sean Miller's last press conference, he kind of hinted to the haze in the barn. He went out of his way to make a couple statements in that regard. Maybe that's the way a coach thinks,
Right.
but I don't think the fans think that way, and I don't think the seating guys think that way.
Can I make every Arizona fan super angry right now, more than I usually do? Is it better to just go ahead and lose on Thursday?
Lute Olson had that theory, didn't he?
And look at it, if you're Arizona, okay, what can Arizona do? The best they can do right now is move themselves from what, a 3 in the East to a 2 in the West?
Mid-2, yeah.
Mid-2, okay. Would you rather do that, even if it would you do that even if it meant killing yourself to try to beat UCLA in a semifinal, and then killing yourself to try to beat Oregon in the final? Or would you rather go home and rest for 4 days?
I wouldn't want to go home and rest for 4 days after a first-round bounce, would you? But it happens every year, and it's forgotten almost Sunday morning. The minute you wake up, the tournament's forgotten.
Right. The Pac-12 tournament can help Arizona, but kind of only incrementally. I would argue the same with UCLA and Oregon too. Is these are teams that, maybe Oregon is playing for maybe a number 1 seed, maybe. Everybody else is sort of 2s and 3s. To me, this tournament is huge for Cal. This tournament is huge for USC.
And maybe Utah.
And maybe Utah. Am I right?
Yeah, I think that's it. If you can bow out with grace, if you don't get bounced out 85-58 by the Ducks, it's fine.
Right. But it's fun.
Oh, maybe it won't be as fun this year because those people who've been there know how good the MGM Grand was as a host.
Right.
Now it's not at the MGM Grand. It's across the street and everybody's scattered down the strip.
Right.
So to me, it's about fun as much as basketball.
Right. What can Arizona show you this week that will to sell you on the fact that they're a Final Four team?
Hang tight with either UCLA or Oregon or both.
So just hanging tight.
To me, that's it.
Okay.
Because will you play a tougher team in March the rest of the way? No.
No. How important is this somewhat meaningless tournament for Lauri Markkanen?
I think every single person who tunes in, who's watching this year, will be watching for his first jumper.
Right.
Not a 10-foot pull-up jumper. First one behind the line.
Yep.
If that's an air ball again, March suddenly doesn't look so promising.
Right. And we talked about this off camera, Greg. This is the dorkiest point in the world. But Lauri Markkanen going forward is going to be shooting on strange floors the rest of the way. You know, he's never shot at the MGM or at the at T-Mobile Arena before, and wherever he goes in the first couple rounds of the tournament, it's going to be new places. That is not where you try to get yourself out of a shooting slump.
You know, I don't disagree with that. But then I also think back to Sam Decker and all those Wisconsin snipers burying everything they shot at the Staples Center.
Yeah, they didn't miss.
And you going in, you would have said the same thing. Well, these guys can't shoot that good in an NBA arena, but they shot even better.
It's very true. It's very true. It's March, Greg. You excited?
Yeah, I really love it. I really love it. I went to my first NCAA tournament game in 1970.
Okay.
So that's quite a while ago.
Who played?
Well, I was a basketball manager at Utah State.
So you played.
And Utah State went to the Elite Eight against John Wooden.
So
I mean, can you top that? No.
So you were on the bench, down at the end of the bench?
I was a manager. I wasn't a player.
Right. But you were there.
Yeah.
I mean, you were courtside. And that day's opponent was John Wooden and UCLA.
Sidney Wicks, Curtis Rowe, Henry Bibby.
What was the final score?
At halftime, it was 48-43, and I was so nervous I couldn't walk. And then in the second half, UCLA did what they did to everybody else.
Yeah.
101-73.
Wow. Where was that game?
Seattle.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was, to me, it was the biggest thing I'd ever seen.
Sure.
And here we are now, and every year is almost the same thing.
I love it when he gets fired up. It's March. Oh, this is going to be great. That'll do it for this episode of Greg Hansen's Video Notebook, brought to you by Hughes Federal Credit Union. For Greg Hansen, pick up a copy of our special section in stores now. I'm Ryan Finley. We'll see you next time.